Well, that was a little bit of Calvin Harris and Friends with Under Control. Next one up, the Four Tops with Reach Out, I'll Be There. I'm coming back in a moment with Mr. Craig Wilson from South Africa, just to chat about things down there in the Rainbow Nation with the news of Nelson Mandela's passing. It'll be interesting to get a South African's perspective, but I'm looking forward to chatting to this guy. I haven't spoken to him in a very long time. Absolutely awesome fellow, very talented rugby player, rugby coach, and always amusing. Always amusing. Right, back in a moment with Craig Wilson. Stick around. Just remember, reach out, because I'll be there.
Right, now I'm really jolly nervous. Eh?
Well, it's just gone 11:15. You're listening to James Harvest here on Radio Castle, and I'm very glad to be able to bring into the show Mr. Craig Wilson, a South African from Cape Town, a good old friend of mine. I first met him back in the early 1990s when I was a gap year student at Bishop's Diocesan College. Since then, we've kept in touch, and he's very kindly agreed to come on the show and talk to us about what's been going on in South Africa, and indeed the very sad news of Nelson Mandela's passing. Mr. Craig Wilson, how the devil are you today, sir?
Hello, James. I'm very well down here in South Africa. It's a bit of a windy day, but everything's fine apart from the sad news we heard today about our great ex-leader, Mandela.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he hasn't been in the public eye for quite a while. He retired from presidency only a few years after he took it on, but he's been very much part of South Africa's re-emergence into the global society, shall we say, since the lifting of apartheid and the lifting of sanctions. Now, obviously, we know South Africa come back into sporting contention in almost every sport that they compete, but politically, it hasn't been plain sailing. And indeed, I'm sure there have been a lot of changes in South Africa over that time. Now, I first met you, as I said, in the early 1990s. Just sort of, can you outline for us the extent of the change in the country since that time?
Yeah, James, but first of all, when you left Cape Town to go back to England, you said you were going to become England's #1 hooker, and I think we had a substantial bet in those days, and I've been looking at the press, but we don't get much press about English rugby. So
yeah, I know. We did win a World Cup in 2003, but we can't harp on about those things.
We always.
I know South Africa have won a few, but still won one. No, they won two, haven't they? One in '95 and one in 2008. And in that 1995 one, obviously Mandela, he didn't play a massive part, but he got on the back of it, and he really did get behind them, and he used that as a means of uniting the country at a time when there was significant confusion.
I think, James, in uniting the country, I think there have been like 3 or 4 significant events since Mandela got released. Obviously, when he got released, and then he did a speech at the Grand Parade in Cape Town. I happened to be there. I took my video camera along, and we filmed him saying, "I come in the name of peace." And I was the only white person in this throng of black guys who had been bussed in from the townships, and there was such joy and friendship, and everyone was just so happy and hugging, and I promise you, I just thought, geez, what have we been so worried about? Because we were, when we heard about his release, we were like the guys in Europe. We were going to bottle down for the Cold War. We all took out to the shops and bought baked beans and tin this and that, but nothing happened. Like with Mandela, suddenly you just felt, what on earth were we worried about? And then obviously when Chris Hani got shot, and then we thought, Chris Hani, he was a great leader, and he got assassinated, and then we thought there's real trouble. Now all us people, all whiteys, apartheid people, oh, now this is the end. But this is when Madiba came along and said we can't blame everyone, and we must keep calm and keep our heads, and we're going forward, and he brought South Africa back when they were on the brink of the Civil War. And then back to the World Cup in '95 when he got clever to unite South Africa through rugby. And I was also at that World Cup, and I promise you, with seeing Mandela in the stadium when everyone was chanting Nelson, 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 it was just incredible. And then maybe the fourth one is his death last night, and which we heard only about it this morning. And I was worried when I woke up. I thought, the same as when he was getting released and this Chris Hani thing, there's going to be trouble. But then you listen to the reports and all the Facebook postings, and what a great fellow this man was. I think he's united South Africa more in his death, how everyone now needs to live like he lived, and go out and make South Africa a stronger place. So I'm in a lot of hope for what's going to happen. So I don't think we're going backwards. I think we're going forwards. And it's also a wake-up call for the politicians, because it's not really us who are, or the citizens who are taking this country backwards, but it's the politicians who are doing it for themselves. Sorry, I spoke a bit long there.
I mean, you made some very, very good points there. It's great to hear, your attitude towards that. Nelson Mandela was indeed a politician. I said at the top of the show that he had a lot to be bitter about, to be angry about, but he shelved all of that. He put that behind him and set an example, I suppose, to the world, not just South Africa, that in order to rectify things, you've got to look forward. You're not really worried about the past. Take it into account when making decisions for the future, but move forward together. And he set such an example with that. And it's a real shame that he wasn't able to remain in power for longer. But obviously, age was against him.
But he also knew when to go. But what you're saying about this not having that hate. You can learn this as a rugby player, as a person in business, as anywhere you go. If you can be put in prison for 27 years or more, or you could be ostracized in business, or you get dropped from a rugby team, or your friends hate you, or you get cussed in the bar. Do you come back with hate and you say, stuff them, I'm going to give them a hard time, I'm annoyed with the world, or I'm going to love them more and come out and turn this thing positive and try and become a better person, or more positive, and everything that you learn is a lesson and you must just get stronger from there on. And that's what he did. He came back with love and not hate from prison.
I mean, it is amazing, isn't it? Because you say, if you're sworn at in a bar, if you have an argument with somebody, that's a little thing, and people hold a lot of resentment with that. But this guy was in prison for 27 years, and
a lot of thinking to do.
And as you say, he was full of happiness and hope to take his country forward. And it's one of those days, it's one of those events in your life where you think, where was I when the space shuttle blew up? Where was I when John F. Kennedy was shot? Well, I wasn't born, but this is what people ask. I mean, people will say, where was I when Nelson Mandela died? Because it was a resounding noise around the world, because he was such a great person, and indeed he has done so very much for world politics and indeed South Africa. And I just hope that the people who now have control of the government, even with his passing, I know he hasn't been in the public light, even with his passing, I just hope they will continue in the vein that he hoped for.
I think there are enough people to put this government under pressure. But like we had our tollgate fiasco, which is that they've got tolls up in Joburg and no one was going to pay them, and we all thought that there are going to be mass protests because this one was going to happen in a big form and no one was going to pay anything. And the other day came and went and life goes on. So I think there's a lot of positive things in South Africa. People must just obey the rules and do the right things. The police must police. The kids must be educated like Mandela wanted them to, and I promise you this country will do well. I mean, we got a B team in England playing cricket. We got a side playing. All the South Africans are playing in England there. We got enough blacks. I coach a coloured side at Bishop's Lavis. I've actually gone from Bishops to Bishop's Lavis now, but it's a lovely side. And these guys are ball players. And there are so many of them out in the lesser or the coloured areas, or where there isn't money. You see these poor guys. They arrive to rugby practice. They got a T-shirt that they've been wearing all day at their house. They got a pair of tackies. It's raining. They come, but there's no clubhouse for them. And these guys have got talent. They got skills. We don't need to bash, and we can select any sides. We can have the greatest sevens. We can have the best. We can have three sides if there's so much talent, but we just pick the guys who can run and get that so-called front foot ball and earn the right to go wide. It's about talent and flow, and let the genius flow, and there's a lot of it in South Africa. There's so much to unleash here, I tell you. You just don't know where to start, James.
And it'll be good to see a slight change in South Africa's style of rugby, because they are very brutal at the moment, spearheaded by Bismarck Duplessis. And you've got to take your hat off to the guy, because he does what he does very, very well. But they can play some very nice rugby.
They have.
That with a little bit more of the running rugby that you talk of now, they would indeed be right up there with the All Blacks. And not just competing with them, but possibly beating them as well.
Yeah, you see, but you got to be brave to spread that ball. You can't like go and play and put them and wait for something to happen. You got to make it happen. Like, you only run the ball when there's a 4-man overlap. I mean, you got to create them by running angles. Or I can carry on like this. But look at the sevens the other day, how Fiji. just played this wonderful game, but all the other sides are playing this mini bash 15s rugby where they're making contact in sevens and having rucks and front foot ball. No one's passing it around and running. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Bishop's Darton College, where we met, where you went to school,
yes,
where you learned your rugby under the tutelage of Basil Beck.
Yeah, what a good man too.
What a great guy.
He's a mini Mandela himself with the way he treats people and carries on in life.
But I'll tell you what, if you do see him, do remember me to him, because he's a great guy and absolutely awesome, a legend. But no doubt you'll be taking ale with him down at Olympics at some point.
Yes, he's getting on now, but I'll definitely do that. He loves rugby, and I'm sure he'll remember you, and I'll send him my best, or your best.
Excellent. Yeah. But no, I mean, Bishop's Darton College, absolutely fantastic school. It's where rugby came into South Africa all those years ago.
Yeah.
And they play a lovely brand of rugby as well. Now, you say you're not coaching there anymore, but what was it about the Bishop's rugby that that everybody sort of embraced, and what was it that made them play such good rugby?
James, well, first of all, Bishops in the last 3 or 4 years have thrown out that running rugby style. That they've been playing more like Western Province and the Springboks, up front bash rugby. I don't know why. But now they've changed the coach and hoping to get it back. I don't even remember a chap called Michael Bailey. He's now in charge of the first team. Yeah. He coached under Heineke and old Nick Mallett. But the Bishop's idea was to get the ball to the wing as quickly as possible and line deep, because you've got to give the wing space to move. You've got to get a fullback coming to the line to look, tap and go, catch the opposition on the back foot, rucks and maws, and mustn't stand for longer than 2 seconds. If you have the slow ball, you got the slow defense. It's easy to defend slow ball, but when you have quick ball, how do you stop that? And if you've got guys who know how to pass the ball, to run angles, if they're not, the guy who's running with the ball is trying to create gaps, but the guys who are running into spaces who haven't got the ball are also looking to create gaps. That's the way they play, and you just go at a quick tempo. It's like playing volley in squash. You don't wait for the ball to bounce. You get in front of the player and play. It's tiring, but geez, you get rewards. But you got to practice like that. You got to play touch rugby. You got to do counter attack. You got to play skilled games. You don't run into bags all day and practice defense. Hold, press. Oh my goodness me! I'll fall asleep.
Indeed, it's all about space. It's all about running into gaps. It's all about creating those opportunities. And that's where you see the most exciting rugby. Now, you guys almost sound intelligent there, and indeed, obviously, you played quite a bit of rugby yourself. I think you played for Western Province B on a couple of occasions, but did have a few problems with those Bs.
Yeah.
Down to the fact that you and I had far too much stake in the early 90s.
Steak's good, eh?
It's good. Just gave up.
Yeah, I know. I got my knee taken out just before I was selected for Province, and my knee got taken out in a game, in a week game, and it was one of my saddest moments. I'm still ruining that injury. Can't walk, my boy. That's why we're getting fat now. I don't know. How do you get fit, James?
Talking about injuries and steak, I've still got a lovely little scar on my arm from when we were, I think, in Naughty's Moonlight Grill. Sounds very romantic, actually. But it was,
you and me there. Yeah.
Do you remember this? Because I think I might have just gone for a little bit of steak that was left on your plate, and you decided to plunge your steak knife into my arm, and I've still got the scar to remember it by.
James, that was just me, just to let you think of me every time I look at that mark. You know, you got to leave a signature somewhere. But you already had. I think you hadn't washed your hands when you went to the loo or something. That's what probably got me irritated or something. But I'm glad you see that and think of me all the time. But as always, it was nice to have you in South Africa, James. You're a star. Like, I've listened to your radio station. You're energetic and you're fun, and that's what you were like in Cape Town. It was just a pity you didn't follow up on the rugby field.
Easy tiger. I did all right.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I do have some great memories from my time in South Africa. I loved it. I was there for a year, obviously, as I said, in my camp. I came back then in '95 to play for Villages, and indeed, I came back in 2006 with a tour, and I saw you again there when I brought the school that I was coaching, King Edward VI School in Southampton, on a great tour. We had 3 great weeks in South Africa. Boy, I was tired at the end of that, but it was good to see you guys and Hoof Knuckles and all of those guys from Bishops. Down there. I did catch up with Basil back then as well, and it was so good to see the guys. Yeah, you won't recognise Bishops anymore. People have moved on, and so is life, but I'm sure you would fit straight back, and we'll get the guys down to come and see you if you ever come down. And I will do. I'm going to have to at some point. Because I've got to see Table Mountain again before I die. I mean, obviously it's going to be many years before I pass on, hopefully. But I've got to see Table Mountain again. I live in the shadow of Table Mountain for a whole year, and I still see it vividly in my mind.
Lots of people,
Wilson, thank you ever so much, my friend. It's been absolutely wonderful talking to you, getting your sort of take on the Mandela passing, and all I can say is to you and to your company, all the very best in this time. Let's hope everything comes together and goes in the way that Dog Mandela wanted it to go.
I think it's very positive, James. I'm actually not worried at all. Just everyone was, as they say in Afrikaans, you must bring your side. Say that in Afrikaans. Anyway, but if everyone pulls together, it's going to work. And if we have rugby coaches who enjoy running the ball and decent sevens coaches. But Jamesy, thanks for the call, man.
Hey, well, thank you, Craig. You take care of yourself, buddy.
And last one, good luck. Good luck with the weather out there. Yeah, you having a bit of strain there. I was looking at them with houses upturned and a bit of flooding, eh?
Well, it was a little bit windy. I don't think it was as bad around here as they said it was going to be. Actually, this morning we've got some blue sky. Haven't seen any of that since the summer. Not that our summers are that great, but actually it's a very crisp and bright December morning. It's quite nice, actually. It was nice and warm down in South Africa.
Yeah, okay, James, we're getting ready for a nice summer. It's nearly crayfish season, Christmas time, sea, fish, beer, beaches, white beaches, sun.
Stuffing my turkey. Stuffing my turkey. That's what I'll be doing. You take care.
Okay, Jamesy, take care.
You, my friend.
Okay, bye.
Bye now. Right, yeah. Well, that was Craig Wilson from South Africa, from an absolutely awesome guy. And I'm going to go with a little bit of this. Heatwave, that's exactly what they'll be having down in South Africa at the moment. Martha and the Vandellas.
There we got it.